Howdy! Today I want to show you a video that I made 6 years ago, and I have a friend who watches this video almost every single day to help him stay inspired for missions. So my friend Gary messaged me a couple days ago and he said, you know, you should take that video about Travis that you made and put it on your channel because, as he says, he believes every Christian needs to see that video. And I thought, you know, that's not a bad idea. So we're going to watch that video. The amazing thing is I almost wasn't able to make the video in the first place. I'll tell you more about that after we watch the video, but I hope this is a real blessing and an inspiration to you. Last year when I was in Thailand, I had the privilege of going with Travis Sharon to visit his school deep in the mountains.
Sometimes it's hard being a missionary, but it's well worth it.
I wanted to discover why this young man was working alone at this remote village. So I asked him to tell me the story of how he became a frontline missionary.
I started hang gliding at 9 years old. Just the year prior to us coming over, I had decided that I wanted to put model airplane engines on the hang glider so that we didn't have to glide off of the mountains anymore. We could take off out of the valleys. And I had built it, but I hadn't flown it. So I didn't want to go to Asia, even though my parents were going and all my brothers were over there. My dream was to fly it. So when they said that they were going, I didn't want to go. I tried to find excuses why I didn't need to go and why I actually should stay. I never could find any excuses why I should stay. In 2009 is when we actually flew over for 3 months to visit my brothers, the schools, see the different projects, and then we were going back home. The going back home was my favorite part about the whole trip. At least that's what I thought.
Having just explained why he didn't want to go to Thailand, I asked him what motivated him to make the decision to stay long term.
In America, I wasn't helping anyone. There was nothing for anybody else. I was living for me. The hang glider, it was just for enjoyment. It was just a toy, no useful part about it. So I wanted to do something to help others.
Have you ever regretted that decision?
No, never.
Having known Travis for several years and hearing about his work, it was an incredible experience to see this young man and the life he lives, willing to endure hardships to work for God, driving the motorbike to get supplies in, except in rainy season when the road is too muddy to drive. Then it's only a 12-mile hike to get in. The nearest connection to the outside world is a hike to a mountain not too far away from the school.
Headed to the cell phone tower. Should be about 20 minutes. Here we are on a mountain about 20 minutes from the school where we have phone service, and so we can call in and out and get internet sometimes if we put the phone in the right spot.
After seeing a glimpse into the hardships of life in the jungle, I wondered what some of the joys were for Travis.
When you see people accepting and changing, the man that's been helping me a lot around the school, he told me that he's finally given up coffee. He was the worst coffee drinker I've ever seen up here. I never told him not to drink coffee, but I did show him in the Bible what it says about taking care of our bodies. And that was his own decision.
With nearly a third of the world population completely unreached by the gospel, I wanted to ask Travis what he thought was the reason that there are so few missionaries reaching the unreached.
I think we have lost our focus. The drive to share what we know is lost. We as Christians, we don't even know what we're supposed to be doing. We read the Bible, we see what it says, and we think that applies to the other guy. And not everybody needs to go, because we need to stay in the States or wherever it's comfortable. Few people feel called to go. We don't feel the necessity to share anymore. We've lost our mission to reach the world. And each generation we're going backwards. So there's something wrong. I think there needs to be a revival in our church. God has called every one of us to share what we know to whoever we can, whether it be at home or abroad. But very few people take the call seriously. We sit back and we say, yes, we need to share with our neighbors and our friends. We don't need to go far away. But yet, those close to us we don't even share with. We say it to make us feel better.
God was working on my heart. He said it's time to do your part.
What is the number one reason there aren't more missionaries in the field?
Because they didn't go. I'd have to think about that one a little bit. I think one of the biggest reasons why missionaries do not go and share the gospel is because they are afraid to leave what they know, afraid of the hardships. But God has already promised to be with us and to take care of those problems, to take care of us. But we still want to worry about what we wear, what we eat, where we're going to sleep, when God has promised that to us already.
As long as you're serving me, you'll always be in my care.
I believe when the hard times are here, we will have to do what we should have done now, when it is relatively easy to do. Sometimes the way that God leads you seems barred, with obstacles, too great to encounter. But we forget that God, He says, all things are possible. And it is for us to obey His command and to do what He has told us to do, to open the way so that others can see Him. It's not always easy, but it's what we are told to do. If we were to be one of those lost souls that have never heard the gospel, if we were in their place, and there were people who knew but did not go, in the judgment, how would we feel?
People are crying, lost souls are dying. So
How can we be in heaven if we do not engage in the work that God has given us to do? We know the work that God has given us to do, but we don't do it. Jesus, when He was on this earth, He was a missionary. He worked. He spread the good news of salvation. We may have to face challenges, but what is challenges when we think about eternity? Eternity of bliss, peace with God. Why would we, as a people, not move forward to share with others the good news? Those that would not otherwise have a chance to know. We as a people, we think that we know, and that's enough. But that is not what a Christian is. Christianity is not just something we are. It is something we do. We must show what we believe by our actions. We must move forward. God has given us a work to do, and we must do it.
How many missionaries are out here in these mountains?
At the present, I don't know of any others.
What's that make you feel like?
It's sad to me when I see that there are not more missionaries in these mountains to reach the villagers the people that don't know about God, don't know about salvation. What if you were the only one to take the gospel to a village? Would you go? God is calling each one of us. Will we go? What are we willing to do for God? What are we willing to give up for God to share the good news? Are we willing to give up our reputation, our lives, our conveniences? The hardships that we face in this life will be more than repaid. Are we willing to go? Go anywhere. He did not just say, go to the easy spots. He said, go everywhere. Share my name everywhere. The plan of salvation so that everyone can have the choice to choose life, or will we sit back and think to ourselves, I'm so glad that I learned. Are we that selfish to take the gospel only for ourselves and not to share it with others?
There's always challenges along the way, but you learn to overcome all those challenges and go and do what God has told us to do. There's nothing like going and telling a village that's never heard about Jesus for the first time.
It may be difficult and it may be hard, but the joys of bringing someone to Christ outweigh the long nights of toil, the hard days. It is well worth it because we know that God is by our side.
God has placed my heart in a land far away.
To someone that doesn't know how to get started, to engage in the work, the first thing, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go anywhere. Pray, ask God, and He will guide you. You don't have to be in some remote jungle location. You don't have to be in the middle of a big city. But God has called each one of us to go wherever. And He has promised to take care of us, so we do not need to be afraid of what He has already told us to do. He has told us and promised that He will take care of us. I would encourage anyone who is felt a call to go, to step forward. God has called us to do His work, and it is up to us to join in the work. It will be more joy than we have ever known.
My time in Thailand was definitely a life-changing experience. Seeing the people who have no hope, longing eyes, and hurting hearts. Even though they don't know it, Jesus died for them. After seeing that reality face to face, and seeing this young man's dedication, I came to the realization that true joy and happiness can only come through serving God. Jesus died for me, so how can I do any less than give my life for Him?
When my heart is there, when my heart is there.
I hope you were blessed by that video, and if you were, please share it with your friends so they can be blessed too. Like I said before we watched the video, I almost wasn't able to make that video in the first place. And if you want to hear about that and what happened there, I've got a video right there that if you click on it, you can hear that story. Thanks so much. God bless. We'll see you next time.